Okay. Akansha, are we ready to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. People are still joining in. Yeah, so I think let's start because people will keep joining in. And again, welcome everyone to this special webinar on mental health. I'm Dr. Swati Karve, Director and CEO of Swasti Vishwa Behavior and Social Science Institute Foundation. And it's a Section 8 non-profit company, and we work to educate people on mental health as well as create awareness on mental health. And we are extremely privileged and honored to have a brilliant Dr. Thakkar here, Dr. Dhruv Thakkar, as today's speaker. Welcome, Dr. Dhruv. It's as always a pleasure to see you. And to introduce our guest today, Dr. Dhruv Thakkar is a gold medalist, a psychiatrist, sexologist, and a de-addiction specialist with a decade of experience. Practices through his clinic in Ahmedabad and on various online platforms. He is a former counselor at Indian Air Force. He does webinars and workshops for many reputed companies and corporates like Wipro, Schneider, Accenture, HDFC, and others. And he also in reputed colleges as well. And he is a passionate ambassador for mental health and awareness. And he's associated with us, and he's going to be addressing us today. All of us, Dr. Dhruv, are looking forward to hearing from you and learning from you. Thank you so much. So you can start.
Thank you so much, Swati ji. I'm always excited and happy to join any such program by Swasti Vishwa Foundation and you. And I have been privileged to learn CBT under your institute as well. So I'm always grateful as a student of your institute as well. So thank you everybody for joining. Very happy to be here. It's a very important topic.
Can you just talk closer to the mic, please, and
Okay.
talk a bit louder so that.
Okay, sure, I can do that. If it is still not loud enough, please let me know. And with the flow, I think I'll keep getting louder with more excitement of sharing.
Louder the better.
Yes. So let's start today's discussion. It's a very important discussion, and I think it is important for everybody, not just who is suffering from any mental health problems and not just their families. It is important for everybody. So I'll start with my presentation, and we will discuss how important it is. I hope it is visible.
Yeah, talk a bit louder, please.
Yeah, so I am actually pretty close to the mic. I do not know what is the problem.
Maybe your system volume, if you can increase your system volume.
As well. What is the scene with everybody else? Can you also hear me very low?
Is everybody able to hear Dr. Dhruv? Yeah. Surya is saying we can hear you clearly. Okay.
Okay. All right. Fine. So I'll again go back to the presentation and we will discuss. So today's discussion is about from illness to recovery. So it is our first lecture, psychoeducation. So how do we understand mental health disorders? And we will also be specifically focusing on how should families look at anybody who is suffering from mental health disorders, to that person, to the symptoms, and what should be their approach. We will start discussing about that, and in the due course of discussion, we will also learn a few things about biology and psychology of mental health disorders as well. Yes. And as I said, it is very important for all of us. And that is because whenever somebody is suffering from emotional health problems, the effect goes out to the entire world. Each one of us is so deeply connected. And if anybody is disturbed, it is definitely going to disturb the other person who is close to them. and the cycle goes on, the ripple effect goes on, and it affects each one of us in the society. It is also very important because the statistics say that 1 in 4 households navigate mental health challenges globally. So, if not in your house, in your neighbor's house, somebody suffering with it. So, we are inevitably a part of the bigger problem, which we need to address. So today, what we are going to try is I'm going to discuss about 7 different families in which some or the other person has this challenge. And of course, the names and surnames are not going to be real. But for the purpose of understanding well, we will discuss different stories of different families and through which we will derive some knowledge out of it. So I hope you're ready. Let's start with case number 1, the Patel family. So it is very similar to the cases that have come to me in the past. So what happened in the Patel family is the young chap Aman, um, who is usually very, very active and he's the heart of the parties. Suddenly he changed his behavior. He started locking himself in the room, did not want to come out of the room, and he would not go to the college. He would not meet his friends. He would not go out and party or watch movies. This was a very apparent change which everybody in the family noticed. And we have seen this in the previous generations. And of course, it is not very limited to the generation, but very few people fail to understand that their behavior is a reflection of the emotions, what they are going through. It is not just a chosen behavior. So the father of Aman used to get angry and he would say that you are just lazy and you are just disrespectful and you do not have discipline and you do not have structure to your life. You are not valuing what we have given to you. You have got everything so easily. That is why you are not respectful about it, and so on. Now, Aman would argue, he would try to explain it to him why he's not doing what he's doing. And see, many times the problem is the person who is going through this, they themselves do not understand what is going on. So even they do not have proper words, they do not even have proper motivation to explain it in clear words because it is new for them as well. So it would turn into arguments, right? So what happened in this case is whatever struggle emotionally he was going through, the family misunderstood it as a conscious choice or a weak mental state or a weak willpower, as they use it very frequently, or a character flaw, that his nature is like that. Right? But this assumption is flawed, as we know. And Aman is most likely not lazy because he was very active, right? This was change, and the change has a reason. So let's see what could be the reason. Why would Aman or anybody like him would behave this way, feel this way, think this way, react this way? Whatever stress related or emotional health related problems happen, there are 3 kinds of sources to these problems. We call this biopsychosocial model or biological, psychological, and social reasons. These are the sources through which we feel a certain way. So let's talk about social first because it is common sense. I mean, it is something that is more understood globally. I'll give you an example. If somebody is feeling a certain way, किसी को गुस्सा आ रहा है, कोई दुखी है, and if somebody asks, why are you feeling like this? The natural response to this is that we link our mood with something that happened, an event, a situation, right? Somebody said something, somebody did something. So it's our natural instinct to link it with an external event. And all these external circumstances are called social sources. Okay. And generally we think that is it. That is the only reason. But as we can see in the picture, and as I told you, this is just 1/3 of the picture. Only 1/3 is external, 2/3 is internal. And this 2/3 is biology and psychology. What is psychology? So here we can understand hamara swabhav, hamara nature, right? And it is a bit more than that. So through the whole experience of our life, we learn, we gather data through our 5 senses. We try to get a meaning out of it. We learn out of it. We develop certain thought patterns, certain emotional patterns, certain behavior patterns, coping skills, way of learning things, habits, and so on. So the whole whatever happens through our mind sphere, that is our psychology, right? And also all the impressions of memory, good and bad memories, including traumas, it's also part of our psychology. And thoughts, emotions, and behavior are the three main things that we will discuss in this point. So that is second part of the third. And the third part, which is least understood, is the biology. It is the hardware, the engine, which is our brain and its circuits. See, think about your own self. You have certain qualities of your father and certain qualities of your mother. And it is not just observational learning, because you get these qualities through genetics. The brain structure receives this from genetics. We also know that if somebody is suffering through some illnesses or even deficiencies of vitamin B12, vitamin D3, and so on, or somebody has a thyroid problem, somebody has PCOS, somebody is going through menopausal problems, we have seen that their mood shifts, right? Even in premenstrual syndrome, there are certain mood changes. Why does it happen? Because all the chemicals and all the circuits of the body, and especially your brain, is interlinked. It is connected. So how we think, how we feel, how we act has a huge dependence on how our brain is structurally functioning, right? So if we want to understand it easily, we can say that the brain is the hardware and the mind is the software, right? So brain has to run the whole body, including what we call mind. And that is why whatever chemical changes, hormonal changes, neurotransmitter changes happen in the brain, even inflammations and deficiencies in the brain, that directly, automatically shows up in our psychological sphere. Thoughts, emotions, behavior, memory, confidence, concentration, sleep cycle, and so on. So this is the clear picture. It is not a chosen behavior, what Aman was doing. And this, if you want to take away one message from this whole discussion of today, the most important thing is this, that biology, psychology, and external factors, all three are responsible for how somebody is feeling. Let's move to second case, the Shah family. So Mrs. Shah, who was suffering from depression in past and also took treatment and therapy, she started feeling better. She was feeling stable for last 2 years. And so nobody was worried about her and everybody was happy that she's doing well. And when I met them, they said that since a few days, she has started waking up at 3 a.m. She wakes up early and she feels tired because of that. But then overall, it is okay. Right? They were like, no, it's okay, sir. It's okay. It happens sometimes. Oh, it happened to that friend of mine. She also wakes up sometimes early, and my cousin also wakes up early sometimes. It is okay. I don't mind that. And then a week later, they notice that she's talking a bit less. And she says that, oh, I like being with myself. And I do not want to reply all the time. They said, okay, no problems. But then, before anybody could realize, she had an episode of major depression. And it turned out to be not just tiredness, but it was stemming out of low mood. Right? And that was the reason for her withdrawal from society. And then, of course, because it was a full-blown episode, she had to take a lot of medicines and psychotherapy sessions and family support to come out of it again. So what we have to understand from this example is that, see, when it is a full-blown episode, it is very apparent. We can notice that. But what if it is not a severe episode? What if the symptoms are not severe? And sometimes there is a transition period which we miss, like we missed in Mrs. Shah, right? So just for understanding, we can divide it like this: that the green light phase is where everything is stable, right? There is nothing worrisome, and routine is maintained, thoughts are okay, emotions are doing well, behavior is acceptable. And the red part is when this full-blown episodes and symptoms are happening. But the yellow part is that slow whisper, where if we are vigilant enough, we have to notice it and we have to discuss it with the mental health care provider, the professional, psychologist or psychiatrist, right? It might not be anything, but we should not take the risk, because this is the time which is very sensitive and we might be able to prevent the further episode. Okay. So there are a lot of warning signs that might be there. There is a whole list of it. But generally, I'm explaining this to you. If there is any change in thoughts, emotions, behavior, or any other functions of the mind or the body, please feel responsible to at least discuss it with your doctor or your therapist. So I have listed a few of the symptoms here. Like biologically, what can happen? Changes in sleep. The sleep might reduce or it might increase. Same for appetite, hunger. It might increase or it might reduce. Weight gain or weight loss may happen. Or some body pains, headache is happening, yahan dukh raha hai, wahan dukh raha hai, multiple unexplained pains of the body. All these changes could be the reason. Or they might just say, I'm feeling tired, lethargic, and my energy seems to be low. Okay. Second is behavioral. So as we discussed, withdrawal from family or friends, dropping their favorite hobbies, which we call anhedonia. Right? We see them restless, right? They're pacing more, they're moving more, they're moving their hands and legs. You can see the wrinkles in the forehead a bit more, right? Their hygiene is not proper. So these are behavioral changes. Emotional changes, you might see they are sad more often, they're irritable more often in small things, they're getting angry, right? So all of these emotions, though they're processing things very slow, but they're not caring enough. They're like, oh, I don't care. These are the emotional changes that we should notice, right? Cognitive means your logic and your brain's higher functioning. So problems in concentration, confidence, right? These things can happen. Now, whatever we discussed, most of that is about depressive or anxiety spectrum. But if it is psychotic spectrum or bipolar spectrum, there might be more dramatic or drastic changes. They might feel suspicious, right? They might not eat food thinking that there is something in the food, right? So these are the things where you have to ask a few more questions to them. And if the answer is not satisfactory, please discuss it with us. Right? I hope it is clear. We may have some time left at the end of the session for Q&A. So if some question pops up in your head and you do not want to ask right away, because it might disturb the flow of your listening, you can write it somewhere and then ask it at the end of the session. Okay. Right. So the next case, the family number 3, the Desais. So what happened in the Desai family is that the daughter of the Desai family was not having a good time, but she was not even ready to take therapy. And there are multiple reasons for that. You know that. Right? It's not very easy to end up in the therapist's chamber. But finally, she started therapy. And after 2 sessions, she opened her heart, she poured her heart out. And in this phase of opening up and discussing these things with the therapist, she started feeling even worse. She felt more anxious. She had a panic attack. And the family was frustrated. Therapy karte ho, we tried it, but things got worse. What is this? You're not a good doctor. You're not a good therapist. And if therapy is like this, we never want to go for therapy. Right? But this happens because we generally have seen this tendency in us that we have a fever, we go to a doctor, they give us paracetamol or something like that, and our fever goes away. Even if the actual problem like malaria or typhoid doesn't go away, but the symptoms go down. And so we have this quick fix mindset. We cannot generalize, of course, but it is very common. And it is not the fault of Desai family because they do not know how therapy works, right? And it is mental health professionals' duty to explain how therapy works, right? It is not like dropping the car to the mechanic. that, hey, we have the car in your workshop, and you fix it and you give it to us, and we will expect that it will not show that problem again. But this is an unrealistic expectation. Our brain, our mind doesn't work like that. So as we know, and this is a very famous line that we keep talking about in social media, that recovery is not linear. Right? Let me repeat. Recovery is not linear. Okay. Even if it feels linear in the first few sessions, there might be a bad day. There might be multiple bad days, and it might feel like, oh, it is all coming back, but it is not like that. Okay. It's like stock market. It will go up, it will go down, but eventually it has been going up since years. Same way, your mental health will also, through therapy, it might get smoother, but trust us, trust the process, that it will eventually get better only. Even if there are certain good days and bad days, the graph will always go towards the brighter side, towards the positive side. Right? So there is no magic stick here, and we do not fix people, or mental health professionals do not fix people. They are like co-passengers, right? Who know it better, right? Who can give the instructions how to drive the car, but they cannot drive the car. Right? They can instruct them with a lot of empathy and love in the heart. But then the passenger seat will belong to the person and not the mental health professional, right? The professional will be there with them through the highs and lows, through the roadblocks as well, and help the person to drive at the best of the possibilities, right? So as we are setting the expectations right with the therapy, let's see what therapy helps with and what it doesn't help with. Because as we said, we are fixing the software through therapy, the mind part, and not the hardware, the brain part. Okay. Of course, technically speaking, therapy also helps the hardware. It also changes the neural circuits and brain circuits, right? But for the common understanding, what we have to understand is that therapy helps to build long-term coping strategies and resilience, the strength to fight with the stress and the problems related to stress, right? But it doesn't give the effect of an SOS medicine, right? It will help us identify and break the negative thought loops. It will help us process trauma safely in a very safe environment created by the therapist. It will help us improve the socialization, the communication, and mainly emotional regulation, how we handle stress, how we handle emotional dysregulation, right? But it will still not change the core beliefs straight away. And if that happens, we are lucky, but it doesn't happen straight away. It doesn't change the thyroid dysfunction or stress related pains and inflammations right away. All these things may happen eventually with reduced stress, but it doesn't fix it right away. Okay. And of course, it will not solve your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your parents, and your husband and your wife, right? Therapy will not fix them. We might help you to navigate through these relationship troubles so nicely that you might be able to impact their emotional health in a positive way, and eventually they will also feel better. So let's move to fourth case. I hope it is not going very fast. I hope it is easier to understand. Yeah. So let's discuss case number 4, the family number 4, the Joshis. Okay. Of course, again, these names are not true. So worry disguised as criticism. And this is also very, very common in Indian households. Right? So everybody, the whole Joshi family is on the dining table and they have started to eat. But the son is not really comfortable. He's exhausted, he's quiet, he's lost in his own thoughts, and you can read the expressions, and he's not comfortable, he's not feeling well. He has been under treatment, and he has been getting comments about how he is under treatment, but he's still handling that and bearing with that. But what happened that day is, because the son was not in a good mood, the father ended up saying, "Did you take the medicine today? Did you not take? I can see that it looks like you have not taken the medicine. And the son felt attacked. He felt that nobody understands me, and why does he have to interrogate? Why can I not feel sad or anxious on some days? If I'm taking treatment and therapy, does it mean I have to be happy all the time? And he was right. But what happens here is that parents, when they are also anxious, they do not really have that clear state of emotions where they are also thinking clearly, or they can adjust the words in a way it doesn't hurt other people, right? They might be belonging to a family in their childhood or to the generation where they nobody taught them how to communicate in an effective way, right? They have gone through their own struggles. They have failed to learn how to communicate to people who are struggling. And the reason for the father's comments were actually care and concern and worry, which made him anxious that what if his son is not all right? And he wanted to fix it fast. So he wanted to suggest medicine, that he should take medicine. But then it came out as criticism, as non-empathetic, as judgmental. And it probably wasn't anybody's clear fault, but then situation got worse. So here what we have to understand is not learning how to help or support our family members or peers in their struggle is also an act of omission of types. So it's also a mistake of types that we have not put active efforts to help other people, right? And as I told you in the first slide, that it is a ripple effect. If we don't change anything, nothing would change, right? So at least somebody has to take that responsibility and uh, learn these skills so that everybody feels better, right? So the learning from this is that this whole thing is called expressed emotions, right? When criticism triggers patients' reactions, and because they feel stress, and again they go into that loop where the stress becomes heavy on their head, and they cannot have enough resilience in that moment. They end up reacting to the situation rather than acting wisely, right? So we have to understand that in such unfavorable situations, stress hormones go up. And when stress hormones go up, this whole cascade of mental health trouble starts, because it is biological as well, right? So we have to learn to use lubricant, राइट ऐसे लोग बोलते हैं ना कि अपने टंग में गुड़ रखो, शहद रखो. So we have to have honey in our on our tongue. So that is a practice that we need to develop, that our words should soothe other people. Our words should act like lubricant, right? And we should take active effort into learning what are the best ways of communicating with them. Okay. So first learning in communication is my favorite quote of all time. Please pay attention to this quote. The quote says, ध्यान दो, ज्ञान मत दो. ज्ञान का काम हम पे छोड़ दो. ध्यान दो, ज्ञान मत दो. We know that everybody knows that we should not be angry. We know that everybody knows that we should be happy. Still, we fail to do that on some occasions because it is not under our control all the time. We are not in the driving seat all the time. Okay? So give attention and empathy. Do not give lectures. They know it already. The other don'ts and do's, I have listed few of them. Of course, it might require longer learning. But rather than saying, why are you acting like this again? We should say, I can see that you are having a bad day or really hard time today. I'm here for you, right? Dhyan do. Just snap out of it. Otherwise, it will be worse. So people actually say this. Stop feeling sad. Feel happy. Think positive, right? Just stop thinking negative. Stop thinking. People say that as if we can really snap out of it, right? Rather than saying that, what we should say is, your feelings are valid and I'm right here with you. Rather than saying, Did you take your pills? Did you call the doctor? Take your SOS medicine right away. Rather than saying that, remind them, how can I best support you right now? Right. Can you remember anything that can help you in this moment? You can see like that. You can remind like that. Indirect reminder of the medicine. That is also okay. You are ruining the evening for the rest of us. Yeah, the blaming part. It's a strict no-no. You can say, see, if you are getting affected by their behavior, rather than directly blaming them, we can say, let's take a break. We can talk about this when things are calmer. And right now, let's go in our rooms. Let's take a break. Let's catch a deep breath. And when we are feeling better, we can come back and we can discuss this in a calmer mind. Right? These are the ways our words can act as a lubricant, as honey. Okay, ready for the fifth case or fifth family? The fifth family is that the title of the story is called The Exhausted Martyr. The wife who wanted to be the mental health warrior, the soldier, ended up being a martyr, unfortunately. And it is also very common. When we try to help too much, it may turn out to be harmful. So the story is like this, that Mrs. Trivedi manages her husband's severe anxiety by doing everything for him. So Mr. Trivedi was feeling anxious. He was having generalized anxiety disorder. And the wife would do everything so that he doesn't have to face any difficulties, any challenges, any overwhelm, which actually looked like it is helping him. Right? So he would do even the professional work in absence of him. But then what happened is that he eventually started feeling loss of confidence, and he started feeling dependent. Right? His confidence did not come back easily. Right? And on the other hand, the wife, Mrs. Trivedi, started feeling burnout because it was too much to do. Right? So she was feeling burnout and he was feeling incompetent, underconfident, dependent. So it's a lose-lose situation. So we have to know where the boundary is. How can we help them to come out of it rather than keeping the anxiety away from them? Right? So we should enable their confidence, not their symptoms. So this concept is guardrails versus roadblocks. Guardrails, yeah, on the edges of the road, they keep the car safe, but the driver must still drive. Okay. And the caregiver's battery will keep running out. It will keep draining. Right? See, even if the caregiver is not doing everything, still the battery may drain. Still the burnout may happen. So it is essential for every caregiver to know what can they do to recharge their own battery. They should have their own me time. They should have the time where they can recharge their emotional health. Okay. And they should also connect with other caregivers. In West, it is a very common thing to have caregiver support communities. We are also building that. But we should not lose the sight from our own health. Because if we do not, we cannot pour from an empty cup, right? If we don't have it, we cannot give it. Okay. So if not anything, at least take care of your own diet, exercise, sleep regime. Okay. Or meditate and relax every once in a while. This message is for the caregivers. There are a lot of articles and videos that you may find, even books you may find on caregiver burden. Okay. It's a very recognized term. It's the discussions about it are going on since decades. So you should also read more about caregiver burden and how to handle that. Okay. So let's enter the house of the sixth family. And this is very important because it talks about emergencies. Okay. So the son had a relapse of paranoia, aggressive behavior, agitation. Right. The mental health professionals who are here, they might be able to guess that it might be a psychotic or manic attack. Okay. So very paranoid and very hostile, very aggressive, very agitated, not in the mood of listening, right? And the touch with reality is also not 100% there. The father again started giving gyan, right? You should do this, you should do that. If that did not work, he started um, explaining with logic. He thought if he's not is listening to advices, let me talk logic. Okay. But then even that logic was not working because a paranoid person's ability to grasp it and connect it with logic is not there. If you know what delusion means, it has in its definition that even if you give proof, they will not understand that. Right. So this logical explanation will also not work when there is sudden outbreak or when there is sudden emergence of an acute attack. Okay, even if a person is severely anxious or depressed, not just psychotic, your words of wisdom are of no use. It might even create more stress in them, and it will delay the treatment. Right. So, in case of aggression or self-harm tendencies, do not try to be the doctor or the therapist. Please consider it is as an emergency, right? And take them in any way to a mental health professional or ask a psychiatrist to come home for a home visit. Okay. An emergency should be handled like an emergency. Okay. So again, what can we do in such crisis? And we should learn how to de-escalate. Okay. We should know when to give space and when not to give space, when to step back, when not to step back. But in most cases, especially like this aggression, you step back. Okay. Do not try to calm them down by touching them. If somebody is very paranoid and aggressive, do not try to calm them down by touching them or by trying too much. Okay. Give them space, step back. Do not create more heat in the situation. Okay. Whenever you think that they are able to listen with a softer voice, not with higher pitch, with a softer voice, try to empathize. The way we said, I understand that you are not feeling well. I understand that you are going through a tough time. I understand that you got hurt. I understand that you are worried or you are fearful. I understand that this may create anger in you. Something like that. Okay. Show that empathy and show that you are understanding it. Okay. But it might happen in the emergency that there is the safety is at risk. Safety of the person, safety of the caregiver, safety of the surroundings. In that case, act very fast and seek immediate emergency help. Okay. So if there are suicidal thoughts, this is that red signal in that traffic light metaphor that we discussed, right? So if it is yellow, you might take your time to understand it better and read about it and talk to your doctor. But if it is red, make them reach the doctor immediately. Okay. If there are suicidal thoughts, do not leave them alone. 24/7 observation and assistance. You have to be with them. Even at night, somebody should be awake to look at them if they are not in the hospital already. Okay. Remove everything that can be dangerous, everything that is sharp, everything that they can tie on their body, right? Dupattas and ropes or anything like that should be away from them. Scissors and knives and everything sharp should be away from them. Even pen should be away from them, ideally. Okay. Anything that can produce fire should also be away from them. Okay. Many times it may happen that you know that they are feeling extremely low, but we are afraid of asking it directly whether they are thinking about ending their life or not. But in case of emergency, you should know. Okay. So find a proper way to ask that kya vichar aa rahe hain? What are your thoughts? Tell me more about your thoughts. Tell me more about your thoughts. Do you get extreme thoughts? Even if they do not speak at that time, just ask directly that do you get such thoughts of ending life? Okay. And if they say yes, then make them reach a psychiatrist's hospital or a clinic, the casualty, the emergency department immediately. Okay. Active suicidal ideations, active suicidal thoughts is a medical emergency. Okay. Meanwhile, while you're on the way, you can talk to your doctor or your therapist who can tell you exactly what to do and how to soothe the person who is feeling suicidal. Okay. Aggression and paranoia, as I said, maintain physical distance. Do not block exits. Keep your voice low and slow. Do not argue against their delusions. Okay. Do not try to prove them wrong by logic. Do not use logic at that point at all. Okay. And if there is any safety concern, call emergency. There are a lot of hospitals who have this system where you can call their emergency staff with ambulance to your home. Okay. So you can try that. Even government services have that. There are some private hospitals, they also have this. Okay. If the concern is with substance intoxication, yeah, they're very, very drunk or they're very high or they've consumed a lot of drugs or anything, any psychoactive active substance, then do not attempt deep emotional conversation or do not try to make them do catharsis or share. Okay, because they are very vulnerable at that time. If they'll start talking about sad things in their life, they might feel a breakdown. Okay, so ensure physical safety because they might not have real understanding of what is right and what is wrong. So you have to maintain, you have to keep dangerous things away from them, maintain physical safety, address boundaries only when they are sober. Okay, and again, because it is red alert, talk to your mental health professional immediately. Right. So seventh and the final family that we are going to discuss before we go into Q&A. Okay. So what happens with the Mehtas is that their daughter has been doing wonderfully well in therapy and at work over a year. Okay. For 1 year, they have not seen any active symptoms. They're very happy about it. And the Mehtas asked that she's fixed. So they actually stopped the medicines because she's all right. So she stopped every dose, all the medicines. They stopped therapy suddenly. Okay. But what we have to understand here is that there is no such switch that now she is all right. So we can turn off the help. Okay. If you'll talk to the doctor, in the best cases, in the most cases, they will start reducing the medicines. And if she's still fine, then we will take away the medicines. We will stop the medicine. Okay. Because in a lot of cases, we do not know whether they are doing well only because of the medicines. Okay. So the doctor will decide which medicine to reduce first because there are certain rules in that. Okay. So scientifically, we will understand what dose to reduce first. We will do that. We will keep observing them by reducing the medicines in every follow-up. And if she's still doing well, if the patient is still doing well, we will wait and still observe if they are fine even after stopping medicines for 2-3 months. Okay. Same goes for therapy. The therapist might decide to increase the gap between sessions. Okay. And then eventually stop. Because we have to see that whether it is medicine support or therapy support, we have to take away support gradually, methodically, and then we have to see whether they are continuing to do fine. Okay, so it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And that is how marathons happen, right? With a lot of grit and patience. So the way we saw this in therapy, we should also know what happens with medicines. Okay, what medicines can do and what medicines cannot do. So medicines can correct a lot of biological disturbances like inflammations, neurological problems, hormone problems, the circuit of your brain hormones and your emotional regulation systems of the brain. They are all kind of repaired. Okay. And that is what happens with medicines. There are certain disorders which are lifelong, in which there are lifelong medicines required. But in a lot of depression and anxiety cases, the treatment ends within a few months or maybe a year or so. And within that period, the brain actually evolves to become better and stronger. Okay. Whether there are mild symptoms or severe symptoms, the brain calms down and feels stronger. But then if they have certain habits, if they have certain core personality traits, right, their basic personality doesn't change with it. Okay. So that is why we need therapy to help them how to look at the problems, how to address and adjust with the problems and so on. Okay. That is why medicines with therapy is the best case scenario. And in a lot of people, only therapy also works beautifully well. Okay. So to summarize today's discussion, um, we understood that it is biopsychosocial model, right? And biology is also very important, how the brain's neurology is functioning. And it is not visible and it is not understandable by common logic. A scientific expert like a psychiatrist is required to understand that. When there is yellow light, spot the whispers, spot the early warnings, and discuss it with your doctor. Even if it is not serious, you should still be sure and discuss it with the therapist or the psychiatrist. Your words and your behavior and your actions towards them should behave like lubricants, and learn how to communicate. Build guardrails, right? Hand holding has its limitations. So do not do hand holding throughout. Do it initially, but then help them to become independent and sufficient. Um, Recharge your batteries, because caregivers burden is a real problem. So you have to put special efforts into your own health. This was a summary of today's session. And the ultimate takeaway is there is always a brighter side of everything. Recovery is not absence of the struggle, but it is knowing how to navigate the road together. And there is a lot of hope, and we are all with you. The whole Swasthi Vishwa Institute, the foundation is with you. So we are open for Q&A now. If you have any questions, you can ask me right now, or you can connect with me on social media. We come up with different projects and different programs, and we would love if you can be a part of it. So you can follow me on Instagram, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And Swasthi Vishwa Foundation is also active on social media, and we keep posting important, useful content for everybody. So feel free to connect with me on social media as well.
Thank you,
So
Dr.
thank you
Dhruv.
so much, everybody.
There
Thank
was
you
a
so much,
request for you to go to the previous slide just before the last but one slide.
Okay, the summary slide.
Yeah, no, before the summary slide, Surya Pawar is saying, can you
Okay.
go to the
This one, Surya.
Doctor, the one before this, please.
Should I go back?
No, I think it was
No,
the
no, no, 21. It's correct. I didn't get that marathon bit.
Yes, so we should not expect to fix the whole problems immediately, right? We will apply some techniques. Some techniques will work, some techniques will not work. We have to adjust our strategy, and then again we have to keep going. That is called the marathon mindset, right? We have to work for our biology, take vitamins, supplements, and whatever is required. When medicines are required, we should take that. When therapy is required, we should take that. When social changes are required, we do that. And by adjusting everything, we reach our goal. This is called the marathon mindset. I hope that is clear.
Yes, thank you, doctor.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So in the chat, there was one participant who has given some symptoms, and I have given our number, Dr. Dhruv. Yeah, you have shared your, can you share your email, Dr. Dhruv?
Right. So it is Dr. Dhruv Thakkar at gmail.com. The same thing that you can see in the Instagram thing. Without
Dr.
spaces,
Dhruv
same
Thakkar
spelling.
at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, I have written this. So, Snehal, I think she had asked, and yeah, so Snehal, Swasthi Vishwa Institute has therapists, psychotherapists, and of course, Dr. Dhruv here is a psychiatrist. You can connect with us. Akansha, my associate, has put our address and number in the chat, so you can pick it up from there. Any questions from the audience? You can switch on your video and ask questions. It doesn't have to be related only to today's session, but it could be your questions on mental health or anything related to mental health. So we welcome questions from everyone.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening. The session was very nice. This is Akanksha Landge. I am pursuing PhD in Human Resource Management, where my topic is Employee Assistance Program in the Automobile Industry. Actually, I had joined this today's session with the interest that sir may be sharing some industry examples also. But as it has I mean, there were good examples. I understand that. but I would like to be in touch with the Swasti Vishwa Institute also, and Dhruv sir also, obviously, because I want to know more, like, do industry people connect with you? Does organizations, the HRs, send their employees to you for counseling? And what is the range of, counselings and rest of the things?
Right.
So,
So thank you for the question, Akanksha ji, and very happy to know what you have been doing. For 4 years, I was psychiatrist in the panel of a healthcare provider company for major corporations of India. So I used to get patients from Google India, Microsoft, sorry, not Microsoft, Accenture, Wipro, and a lot of other companies. There were more than 40 companies where we used to work. And what I have noticed is that the human vulnerabilities remain the same across the spectrum, right, across the places. And anything that is burden for the brain, that is too much to take for the brain, will produce emotional health issues. And because we know that um, we have been in the situation where the layoffs have been a major problem for last 4 or 5 years or so. So we have seen that layoffs and work pressure and AI related pressures, they have created a lot of uncertainty in the minds of the people. And the work pressure and uncertainty together is creating more pressure than ever. And we have seen people having all the kinds of mental health troubles in the industries, whether it is related to the industry itself or their personal problems. But a lot of people have come to us, and we really require stronger workforce to help them out. So what we are doing is going to help them immensely.
thank you so much. I will be in touch with Swati ma'am. If I can really be, a person who can extend this service, being in human resource, and I want to continue with employee assistance program. So
We'll be in
was
touch.
great. Yes, it was great listening to you, sir. And thank you, ma'am, for organizing and inviting such wonderful guests. Thank you so much.
So thank you, everyone. I think we are just a couple of minutes from the hour. So any other questions? Maybe one or two last questions that we can take. So Dr. Dhruv, if somebody has a question, they can, raise their hand. But since we are at the top of the hour almost, I want to extend my sincere thanks to you for your extremely valuable time doing this session. And I really liked the format where you brought these 7 stories. And they told something like you could have just done a presentation with PPT style, but the storytelling narrative was a very wonderful way of just making everything alive, like the biopsychosocial models, spotting the yellow zone, and those graphics are wonderful. The quick fixes, worry as criticism, making communications a key factor in mental health and wellness. Your dhyan do, gyan mat do. But we were very fortunate to hear some gyan from you by giving dhyan to whatever you were saying. So that was a wonderful, moment of learning moment for all of us. The exhausted martyr, you have really covered it all. Making sure that you are not exhausted and your, loved one is not dependent on you. And then, of course, how to handle emergencies. This is such an amazing and very important, very critical thing in mental health, that there is mental health emergency, and everybody here should know that mental health emergencies, you have to go to the doctor, call an ambulance, call a police. The Mental Health Care Act talks about these things. So be well versed with that. And of course, the fixed misconception, we all have dealt with our clients who just stop taking medicines, who believe that they've all become well. They are on their journey to wellness, but sometimes they just stop medications and we see a dip in their mental health. So you address that. and of course, what medicines and therapy can do and cannot do. You really clarified all these things so well in your talk, and all this was done with so much of ease. And really, that was wonderful. So, thank you once again, Dr. Dhruv. I guess
Thank
this
you
was
so
part
much.
one
Actually,
of
I'm
your
also very, very
session.
grateful. I'm very
And
grateful to be here, to be invited like
thank
this
you.
by such a wonderful organization, and very happy to see the audience, people taking part of
Absolutely.
this.
And there were a lot of registrations. Some of them have turned up. Maybe others are watching the cricket match or
Yes,
something.
exactly. India is
But
batting
this,
again.
yes, this lecture is being live recorded on YouTube. So we will be putting it out on our social media so that it can go to many, many more people. Put it on your Instagram. I know you have more than 1,000 followers probably. So it's going to go. Our aim here is to really make people aware of mental health, remove the stigma, have these discussions from learned people like you and not WhatsApp University. So that is that is the goal. So thank you everybody for being here, attending, and please come back for more of our lectures. Follow us on our Instagram and Facebook and social media, where we keep putting content as well as calling different experts for such sessions. And Akanksha, thank you so much. My team, Meghna, Kalyani, and Akanksha. Thanks as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.